Hi, my name is Keith Horst. I was speaking on behalf of transportation. Thank you, commissioners, for letting me speak. I don't want you to increase the fare of transportation. We desperately need it. I needed to look for jobs and go to meetings for Silo and go to meetings for prom tran and stuff like that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for being here. We appreciate that.
Hello.
Good evening, Norma.
Hello, commissioners. I just want to say that we can't have an increase because we can't afford it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Norma.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Ken Lassiter, and I live at 6131 Hook Lane. I have the high honor and great privilege to serve as the president of COBRA. And for those in the audience who don't know, COBRA stands for the Coalition of Boynton West Residential Associations. The COBRA delegates and alternates and the presidents of our 93 communities asked me to thank the commissioners for listening to our concerns and for agreeing to figure out a way to save Green Cay and the other nature centers, and more importantly, to keep the sheriff a sufficient budget that he can keep our District 6 substation open. And we support that. Yours is a difficult and thankless task, but know that COBRA thanks you for listening and for responding to our concerns. And thank you for allowing me to speak this evening.
Thank you. And of course, this board wasn't the one suggesting to close that. I just want to make sure I know you understand that.
2 weeks ago, you collectively voted to bring the maximum rate down to $4.79 and failed to challenge the sheriff's budget in any way. You are our representatives. We, the citizens and property owners and taxpayers, have no recourse. The county administrator reports to you. You allocate the sheriff's budget. At what price safety? Why do so many non-uniformed employees get vehicles? Why does the COPS program get so many vehicles? Can the sheriff send you any budget and you will accept it? What precedent are you setting? And Commissioner Abrams addressed that last time. Why are you so unwilling to challenge the PBSO budget? Are you, like the citizens of various communities, subtly pressured? Do you fear lack of endorsements for future campaigns, or lack of volunteers for those campaigns, or lack of donations for those campaigns? The Palm Beach County Legislative Delegation also failed to take up the changes to the Palm Beach County Career Services Protection Act, changes that could have made dealing with compensation issues more straightforward. I would assert that they too are similarly motivated. The $5 million difference remaining between 4.79 and the current millage of 4.75 is 1% of the sheriff's budget. It's inconceivable that PBSO cannot find $5 million in a budget of over $400 million. Meanwhile, we head towards a second recession, home sales decline, inflation looms, and you barely acknowledge it. $5 million is far less than pennies a day for the sheriff, yet you've decided that pennies a day that you take from us in taxes is far less important to us. Multiply that attitude towards citizens by all the various governmental entities that tax us, and it's starting to cost us a pretty penny.
And direction was given to staff to find the resulting $7 million shortfall from programs with no constituency. Finally, it was decided to take it from the road fund. We half expected to see an army of road pavers coming to this meeting to fight for their livelihood. Is this what passes for leadership? It's only $5 million that separates the current proposal and flat millage. That's 1% of the sheriff's budget. Fire rescue is still at the lofty heights, but they're not asking for a tax hike this year, and they're negotiating in good faith with the union to not see across-the-board salary increases in the next contracts. The sheriff, though, has shown no such restraint. It's still within 4% of the peak reached in 2010, in spite of the $20 million savings in pension reform this year. Yearly raises for sworn employees have always been the norm. Now they apply to civilian employees as well. Questions from individual commissioners are rebuffed as if the PBSO budget is none of their business. It's time for the board as a whole, in my view, to put the brakes on what is an out-of-control PBSO budget. While it's fanciful to say that raising the tax rate is just a bit amounts to only pennies a day and the budget has shrunk compared to the lofty heights of 2007, it needs to be stated that since 2003, spending has increased 10 times the population growth and 3 times the inflation rate. If Gallup were to conduct a poll of our attitude toward county government, how would you fare compared to Washington? If you raise the tax rate yet again, I think I can tell you. Thank you.
Thank you. Janet Campbell, and then Dr.
You say you would be raising our property taxes only pennies a day. But if that raise is not absolutely necessary, why do it?
Can I get you to speak right into your microphone?
Okay.
It'll bend up closer to you.
Okay. Tab says you can easily dip into county budget reserves to pay for expenses without jeopardizing our credit rating. Further, Tab states that the expenses of the Sheriff's Department are 30% above those of comparable police agencies.
The county budget for the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, there are plenty of places to cut, okay? Some of it seems insignificant, but when you add it up, just the small amounts, for instance, the $13,300 in replica firearm purchases provided to the other sheriffs in other counties, the $15,000 in iPads for some of the upper echelon because they can't afford, they can't use their laptops to check their email. The excessive catering that's going on at the sheriff's office, thousands of dollars per month. Then some of it is far more expensive. You have 132 cars provided to civilian secretaries and division managers at a cost of almost $4 million per year. I've done the math. I'll leave the figures up here for you guys to review. Okay? And this doesn't even include the loaner cars for other civilians that are using them. All right? There's your Cobra. There's your District 6 building right there. Almost $70,000 for 3 barbecue grills. Barbecue grills. Okay? And that includes sending people to pick them up. $70,000. And his justification is they're going to be used in case of a hurricane to provide meals to the inmates. They've got refrigeration units. I don't know what you guys do when you have a hurricane, but I've always had sandwiches. I don't see what the problem is. I don't see inmates needing barbecue chicken and ribs. I mean that's pretty much it. As far as the purchasing cards, we've got a sheriff that's going to the Okeechobee Steakhouse with campaign contributors and even some somebody here. I'm not sure who. And maybe it's official business, but I didn't think those types of meetings were allowed. If it's not, then I don't know why you guys can be paying for it out of your own pocket. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Emily Robarts, and then
And as a county taxpayer, I'm very upset to see the county keep supporting cities that ought to be left to fail. Because you can provide more efficient services, you can provide better services than having an extra layer of bureaucracy that is failing in a number of our local cities. I don't want to have to subsidize those cities because of my taxes, everybody in the 500,000 people in the unincorporated area, to support an extra layer of bureaucracy where it doesn't belong. Let them fail. You know, I listened to local news, Lake Worth. We invested in a couple of properties and renovated some foreclosures. Forget it. We're not doing anything more with them. Okay, they need to fail. Okay, last week I hear a federal official say that Lake Worth is on their wall of shame because they can't manage grants correctly. I hear the casino fiasco where millions were not accounted for. And then I'm reminded of out west, the water plant and that fiasco. And you keep turning to the unincorporated areas. And when I know the sheriff had a deal with Lake Worth to cut $1 million from their payment to have the sheriff's services there, and I still don't understand the multi-million-dollar deal that just happened with the fire rescue. I know in my heart that the unincorporated people are subsidizing that money to Lake Worth. I'm positive out in the western cities, unincorporated people, 500,000 people, are supporting those cities. Let those bureaucracies go.
Concerns expressed to me are as follows. TAB proposes to reduce the budget to the sheriff. This worries the sheriff department because a decrease in revenue could lead to job losses, a decrease in community security, and a loss of Substation 6, which is the home to the largest of COBRA groups. The residents are worried that the budget cuts will lead to less palm trans services, damage to our parks and recreation services, community pool closures, and an end to worthy community programs like the Outreach Center for the Blind. This list of concerns goes on, and these are just a few. Here's what was suggested to me in the way of solutions to some of these problems to the sheriff and associated departments. Employ a GPS program for nonviolent offenders. Less beds needed saves money. Offenders pay GPS costs, and we can ask the Department of Corrections to employ a similar program for nonviolent prisoners and potential parolees. The money paid into GPS pays for itself and creates jobs. It will also lower the Department of Correction overtime needs. When on duty, 2 officers to a vehicle will save on gas, wear and tear on cars, and increase officer safety. Police teams could be rotated so that officers don't work with the same teammates. Rotation promotes teammanship, and it also lessens the idea of or potential for corruption. Eliminate overtime as much as possible by hiring more personnel at regular salaries. The sheriff, by reducing his request for county resources, would be a hero. The county has less to fight about. TAB proposals to cut the sheriff budget are now possible, and we can keep Substation 6 open and COBRA operating. Everybody wins, the community is safe, and the threat of job loss will change to a need for hiring.